Hey team, what's going on? Going live here today. Myself, Joshua Hathaway,
Oh, hey.
as we gear up to launch the next round of Authentic Dating Secrets coming up 2 Thursdays from now. Joshua and I have just been talking about some important topics that we wanted to bring to the community. And, one of the things that we work with guys around, and a new study just came out that validates this, is how staying in your comfort zone as a man, doing things the way that you have been and not really kind of stretching out and learning of new ways to show up can actually get you the dating life of your dreams. You want to talk a little bit more in depth about that, Joshua?
Yeah. Well, we all are very familiar with our comfort zone, right? That place that we just feel at ease. It's familiar. We know it. It's comfortable. It's not stretching us in any way, right? It turns out that you can have a really thriving dating life by remaining in your comfort zone, but only in your dreams. Sorry. It's only actually in your dreams that you're going to get to have that dating life in your comfort zone, because it turns out that taking real leadership, being authentic, being real requires some courage, requires some cojones. It requires a willingness to be uncomfortable. It requires us to do things we've never done to possibly get results that we've never had.
And it requires us to be confronted with our self-worth issues, all of these places where we're holding negative self-belief, places where we work with guys who literally inside they feel broken around this kind of stuff. And it's when we start to lean into being a more expressed version of ourselves that these wounds really come up. They really come right up into our heads up display, so to speak. And it's freaking uncomfortable. I was texting with one of the guys from our dating course just the other day, and he's got a lot coming up for him. And this is the reason why we stay in our comfort zones, as far as I can tell, is because we don't want to look at this ugly stuff. I don't want to look at how broken I feel. I don't want to look at how unattractive I feel. I don't want to look at all of these parts where I'm just hurting inside, where I feel lonely, and these are all pretty compelling reasons to just avoid looking at any of that stuff, just to stay sitting on the couch, watching the comfortable TV show, eating the comfortable food, checking out in the comfortable ways that we all have our different versions of. And
There's a lot of different places that wants to show up in our dating lives, right? That tendency toward the comfort zone, instead of leaning in, instead of confronting some of that stuff that comes up.
Yeah.
Whether it's when we see somebody who we're attracted to, and we freeze up inside, right? We would rather go with the known result of nothing happening than the unknown result of potentially reaching out and being vulnerable and not getting the response that we want.
Getting rejected.
Yeah, I don't even use those fucking words anymore, right? Because you've basically rejected yourself already when you don't sort of lean into the possibility of connection there.
Yeah.
And guys do it all the time in their dating profiles, in their dating apps, Robert, don't they?
Yeah. This is one of the pieces Joshua and I were jamming on beforehand. I've really been digging into dating apps lately, especially as this whole quarantine situation is going on. I know that that's true for other guys wanting to. We're socially isolated. We're yearning for connection. Many of us on a deeper level than we're used to. So that drive, that desire for connection is coming up more strongly for a lot of men, a lot of women too. And along with that, as we step into going out to try to make that connection, we're confronted with these blocks, these inner beliefs. And one of the things that, as I've dove more deeply into the online dating world, I've played around with it a bit in the past, but I've really been digging in, and it's been super fun. I got to tell you, it's just been a really fun place to get to experiment and play, to get to notice the places where I freeze, and I'm like, I get up in my head and I'm like, what do I write on my profile? You know, what's the right thing to put on my profile? And as I've done my inner work to embody these principles that we teach in Authentic Dating Secrets, principles like expressing desire without demand, and really owning and getting my value. As I become more flexible around just being who I am, I've played around with being a lot more straightforward right on my profile with what I'm wanting. One of the things we talk about in our 11-week program with the guys that we do some deeper work around is values and terms. This is really, what are the non-negotiables for you as a man that you're out there? I don't want to use the word requiring. It sounds a little bit rigid, but it's like, these are my filters. If you're going to come into my dating zone, so to speak, you've got to meet these conditions. And that also means that there's a much higher chance of you meeting her conditions. The chances that you're both going to actually be a match instead of, you know, not being a match and heading for drama, heading for problems because of the difference between you both. You're setting everybody up for a much better chance of having a win-win interaction. And that can be vulnerable. Like for a guy who's in a place more of wanting to have casual sex, maybe a guy's out there looking for threesome interactions, guy who's looking for more connections more in the realm of sexual connection. I know for a lot of guys that can be vulnerable to put right up front. What if I look like a creep? What if I get rejected? What if, you know, there's a lot of different stories that go through a guy's head. But I've been playing around with putting that stuff just up front on my dating profile, and it really is just like attracting many women that's not a fit, but it's attracting just the right women who are like, that guy. There's one picture of me, I had just finished working out, so I was feeling in my body, I was feeling hot, I was a little bit sweaty, I was holding a belt in my hand. It's a very dominant photograph. And there's a few women who comment on that specific picture, and that specific picture has sparked some really hot conversations because I'm essentially putting myself out there in a very forward, kind of unhidden way. And I'm expressing some of my terms even just through that photo. It's like, I'm looking to have an interaction that embodies this kind of energy with women.
Absolutely. And the tendency for a lot of guys is to hide that up front, is to hide those desires and those needs and those hungers and those terms. And so, and the question is like, when do you reveal that? Like, and how, you know, how much are you both going to have invested by the time you reveal that?
Yep.
Right. And so I want to encourage every one of you guys to not waste anybody's fucking time. You know, if you're not looking for Mrs. Right, then, you know, then make it really plain. Like, I'm looking for somebody to have a really yummy sexual connection with and nothing more. Or
which is Mrs. Right for you.
This is, yeah. And so, but so many guys think they have to play a game of pretending to be somebody so that they can get close enough to have some kind of a sexual interaction with them, you know. But unfortunately for everybody, that level of hiding is not helpful. And the cool thing about apps is that you can experiment. The stakes are so low. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, you can put the weirdest shit up on your profile, and I promise you, you're going to get much more sort of interesting conversations at the very least from having some weird ass shit up there than you're going to from having some like white rice ass, like boring every other dude profile. Right. And please, like, stop with the bro pictures of you and your bros. Stop with the grainy ass photos. Stop with the bullshit of like of like putting the minimum effort into your profile and thinking you're going to get some kind of real bites. You know, if you're going to get real women interested in you, like first impressions are massive, and most people on most dating app on nobody gets you know first impressions are crucial is all I have to say about that. Like on a dating app especially, you don't get a second chance. They're like a nuh as soon as they see a profile
Yep.
like that.
Yeah. So really the context of this conversation, we started out speaking about just stepping out of your comfort zone, and dating apps, especially in this period of quarantine where we're more physically isolated from each other and at the same time more wanting connection. Dating apps are a great place to step out of your comfort zone, a really great low stakes place to step out of your comfort zone and try on some new ways of being. We're not saying go out there and be a fake douchebag, but maybe we are a little bit, like if that's a realm that you have been unwilling to even experiment in, you're so afraid of being a fake douchebag that you play it all the way over on the other side of being super safe and super bland all the time. This is an invitation to let your hair hang out a little bit more fully.
Let your inner douchebag out. Don't fucking pretend like you don't have an inner douchebag in there. He's just buried under a whole lot of fear and a whole lot of conditioning, right?
And I want to be clear, without being, an asshole or a douchebag to women, but you get to let your sexuality out. And this is the distinction I want to make, is that we're so afraid that our sexuality equals douchebagginess. And that's not implicitly true. So this is a great space to let some more of your authentic desire out, to let some more of the parts that you normally hide out, let alone more your spark, your pizzazz, your dominant side, your submissive side, whatever your thing is as a dude, to just let it out a little more fully.
Mm-hmm. Because this is really about risk. Again, at the end of the day, you're not going to have the relationship of your dreams by staying in your comfort zone. I don't care what kind
you
of
will.
relationship
You will have the relationship of your dreams in your dreams.
Your dreams.
Yeah.
And only in your dreams.
And only in your dreams.
And it's really about what are you willing to risk looking like a douchebag to be really authentic with your sexual desire? Are you willing to risk looking like an idiot by showing your sense of humor? Are you willing to risk all the judgment? Are you willing to risk somebody saying no to you in order to initiate a
Being
conversation
rejected
and connect with somebody?
Yeah.
Right? What are you willing to risk in order to have what you want? Because that's a direct relationship, ROI. It's an investment.
And what you want is not just about getting the girl, getting the sex, getting the relationship, whatever it is. Getting what you want is also about being more freed up internally, being more flexible, being more joyful, being more playful, having more range in your social interactions, feeling less caged in as a man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Playing in the world.
Yep.
Full out.
Yep. So would love to hear in the comments what came up for you as you listened. Is there a place that you've been holding back that you can step out a little more fully? What comes up for you as you consider doing that? Places where you agree with what we're saying, anything you disagree? Do you think we're full of shit? Do you think what we're saying is spot on? Would love to hear anything that comes up for you.
Mm-hmm. And I really want to let y'all know that 1 week from today, we are doing a Q&A call for any guys who are interested in just bringing some of your struggles and challenges and questions around dating and app profiles and texting and messaging and approaching women or asking them out on a date, whatever your particular sort of sticking point is. We would love for you to bring those questions. Robert and I are going to be on a live Zoom call for 1 hour. And we're just going to be answering all those questions as best we can from our own experience. And we may or may not have an answer that suits you, but we'll do our best to share honestly and truthfully from our perspective.
Yeah. So we'll post a link to that, but if you want to go to it, the link for that, the URL for that it's a little bit unwieldy, but it's authenticdatingsecrets.com/QA-call dash registration. So QA call registration with a hyphen in between each word.
Mm-hmm. And this is the 2-week mark. In 2 weeks, we're launching our 11-week authentic dating secrets journey with men, and we're so fucking excited. And we already have a community of men who are showing up on the threads and connecting with each other, revealing themselves, and
Are already being confronted with their stuff, already working through their things, already stretching themselves out of their comfort zones. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So if you're curious about it and you'd like to hear more, please reach out to either Robert or myself. We're happy to set aside some time and have a conversation with you about just totally radically up-leveling your relationship romantic experience.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Talk to you next week. Have a wonderful afternoon.